I run a leadership company, and for those of you that I'm just meeting for the first time, so we are putting on a huge leadership event. It's never come to Johnson County before. I'm a John Maxwell coach, and so a lot of this is his group of leaders that he brings in once a year to have an event. It's all recorded. However, the things that we're going to do activity-wise are going to be very interactive from a leadership perspective to bring your team, your boards, your friends, to be able to improve the things that you want to do in your life for 2025. So the event's called Come Alive in 2025. It's going to be held at the Garment Factory in Franklin. So we felt like that was the space. We're going to have an event the night before for VIP networking. We're going to have an awards ceremony on Thursday morning, January 9th for youth. So I've got a survey going out to all the schools. We're going to honor 2 youth in the community for youth leadership innovation, also mentors. So we're going to talk about mentors today. And then we're going to do a community leadership influencer award. So we're going to start something that hasn't been done before a little bit differently. And we want to share this with the community. The material is phenomenal, and you're going to think about and grow in different ways than you've ever had an opportunity to do. So I'm going to show you a quick promo video, and then we're going to get set with Amanda here. Hey, everyday leaders, I have a big announcement for you. January 9th, 2025, in just 74 days, we're going to be right here at the Garment Factory in Franklin. Why? Because we're hosting the Come Alive in 2025 Live to Lead. It's never happened before, and it's going to come right here in Johnson County. Now, the speakers for the day, John Maxwell. It's all on Simulcast, so he won't be live in the room, but he will be with us. You're going to learn a lot from Malcolm Gladwell, John Gordon, Michael Jr., Shantae Lowe. Chip Baker is coming in to do a keynote for our Breakfast with Champions on January 9th. You don't want to miss this. If you get a VIP ticket now before November 30th, you're going to get a discount, and you're going to get to come to all 3 leadership activities. If you buy your tickets now before November 30th, it's a VIP special. You're going to get to come to not only the breakfast, that's the championship breakfast, and you're going to come to the event all day from 9 to 2:30, plus the evening before VIP networking. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We have special events, and you can also sponsor this. So you know the Everyday Leaders Network. We want to help you get visibility for your business. So go to everydayleaders.com right now and find out about the event of the century. It's going to be Come Alive in 2025, Live to Lead, January 9th. Don't miss this. All right, Amanda Sparks from Allies. Amanda, I got to say a couple things about you first, because you have been amazing. I met you a few years ago, and then last year when we got a grant from Shortridge High School to help develop girls in this one special class. We had 18 girls, and it was every single day. And when they came to me, they said, well, you're everyday leaders. I'm like, yeah, but I have a job. Like, I work. I'm a consultant. Anyway, Amanda was one of the ladies that stepped in and said, I want to help and give back and give my time to these girls. So we, for 180 days last year for the school year, went to Shortridge High School from 10:30 to noon and poured into girls that really needed mentoring and they needed leadership development. And it was an amazing time. We gave away 2 $500 scholarships at the end of the year that we had raised from different events. And so my heart goes out to her because she stepped in and really gave a lot. And she's going to talk to us about how we can be a mentor and a friend for girls in need. So welcome, Amanda, and thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you, ladies, for being here. Welcome to Top Floor Women. I want to start first by thanking Mel for this opportunity and just everything that she pours into women every single day. She pours her heart and soul into lifting leaders up and creating just a passionate group of women who want to pour into one another and spread the love. And then also to Katie for opening this space to us. It's such a lovely space for us to be able to be in month after month. And she comes in early and she brings out tables and tablecloths and all the things. So just a round of applause to both of them. And I want to introduce Beth Carney. She is in the back. She is my colleague and dear, dear friend. And if you ever want to learn the God story that brought her to Allies or me to Allies, we can do that at another time. But I want to share about Allies, who we are, what we do, who we serve. We are an anti-trafficking organization. We serve Indianapolis and the surrounding Donut counties, and we serve young ladies between the ages of 12 and 24. Our mission at Allies is to empower these young ladies through mentorship and family support. And that family support has come to look different throughout the years. I'm going to share with you a little bit later about our program called Thrive. But also within doing this, our babies that we've been serving have started having babies. So we serve their families in that way as well. One other way that has been kind of unconventional for us, one of our mentees who was part of our program in February, it will have been 6 years, she passed away last September, and she was doing it. Like, she was rising above her circumstances, and she was a mom, and she had just gotten married 2 weeks prior to her death, and she had a job and she had an apartment, and there were times within our relationship with her that she was homeless or she was living in foster care, or she was couch surfing and just didn't know where she was going to land. And she ended up having an apartment, having a job, and raising her baby, and just being an incredibly good mom when that was not modeled to her. And part of that is due to our program and her mentor being able to teach her what a good mom is and what a healthy relationship is. But with that, since her passing, we continue to love on her husband, and we continue to love on her daughter. We've taken her daughter to the park. We've taken her to the Children's Museum. We've been a part of Danye's birthday after she passed away. We went to the cemetery with the entire family. So we just pour into them and continue to show them what healthy relationships look like. There is a need for trafficking survivors here in the state and abroad. What a lot of people see is they think of the white van and they think of the people following them in the grocery store. And that's not actually what trafficking looks like. What it actually is, it's more related to people they know. So it could be their mom, it could be their grandma, it could be their cousin, it could be their sister. It could be the guy next door. It could be their stepdad. So it's more relational and familial than it is with somebody snatching them off the streets. Internationally, it might look a little bit different, but here in this country, it's over 80% of trafficking victims have been trafficked by somebody they know and somebody that they trust. So that's just something to keep in mind. But with that, there is a lack of support and a lack of resources for these youth. So what we do is we try to connect them to those resources that they may need, whether it may be a job, whether it is education, whether it is just a shoulder to lean on, somebody to teach them what it looks like to be a good mom. We have a mentor in our program right now who was witnessing a mentee telling her daughter how bad she was. Like, you're just bad, you're evil, you da-da-da. And the mentor was able to just say, think about your words and what those words are saying to you. And then how do you think they're impacting her? And she's like, well, that's how my mom always spoke to me. But since saying that to her, she has witnessed her only pouring words of love into her daughter. So we're making strides in sharing valuable resources and relationships. We believe that every single human in this world is worthy of healthy love, healthy respect, and healthy community. And that's what we do in our program. We respect every single girl. We believe what they tell us. As far-fetched as some of their stories may be, we will believe every single word that they tell us. And we want to provide a supportive community in which they can learn to trust people and learn what a healthy relationship looks like. Again, our mission is to empower them through mentorship. So they will get a mentor. It's just one mentor to one mentee so that they have somebody to really pour in them. We have a huge vetting process. And if mentorship is something that you're interested in after I'm done here today, please see me or please see Beth. Beth is amazing. Like, she loves pouring into our mentors. She loves getting to know all of our mentors, and she's got such a gift in doing that. And then our vision, obviously, is to see them overcome those generational curses. Let's stop the cycles of abuse. Let's stop the cycles of addiction. Let's stop the cycles of poverty, and let's pour into them. What the story you're going to hear today might be a little bit triggering. It might cause you to want to step out of the room. It might cause you to want to cry. It might cause you to want to punch somebody in the throat. But if that is the case, if you just need to take a moment, or if you just need to leave, that's totally fine. I'm not going to be offended. I'm here for your safety and your well-being, as well as the safety and well-being of the young ladies that we serve. So the story that we're going to share is kind of the embodiment of who we serve. It's not one particular girl. We've taken pieces of each girl's stories and put them onto paper, and I have wonderful voluntold readers that are going to read some of the parts of the story to us today. And within the story, I want you to watch for different things. Watch for the risk factors. Watch for recruiting and grooming tactics. Watch for how they're being exploited, and then watch for those red flags that you may or may not be able to see in people that you know as well. So we're going to start with Jade's story, and Beth is my first reader. So, I didn't think about. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Beth is going to get us started with Jade's story.
Jade was just 14 years old when her family moved from the small town she grew up in, the city 50 miles away. She and her little sister were looking forward to a new adventure in a new place, but were already missing their friends back home. Jade had always been pretty reserved and a bit shy, but when she was around her friends, she was known for coming up with witty one-liners and her big smile. She had been involved in track and field at her old school. She was hoping to make it on the team at her new school this year. She was serious about her grades and took pride in bringing home report cards that made her mom proud. Her mom had always been her rock. Since Jade's dad left, her mom had stepped up to take care of her two daughters while working full-time and making sure the girls always had what they needed. Lately, though, her mom had been spending more and more time with her new boyfriend, David, who had convinced them to move in with him in his apartment in the city. David was great at first. He spent lots of time with the girls, bringing them presents and taking them fun places on the weekends. He was very affectionate and gave lots of hugs, sometimes a little too many. On the nights Jade's mom worked late, David would come stay with the girls to help with homework and make dinner. They usually settled into the couch for a sitcom before bed. A few times lately, David had been so affectionate that it made Jade feel uncomfortable. He'd reassure her that it was normal for family to be close in that way.
Okay. So Jade's story, she starts out, she's happy, she's healthy, she's at home, but then dad leaves, and there's some risk factors that we can see here. So in listening to the beginning of Jade's story, what are some risk factors that popped out to you in your head? Any cringeworthy moments? Anything like, ooh, that's going to be tough? And I can get us started if you need me to. The home environment. Okay, in what way?
When their mom was working, he was there with the girls,
Yeah.
showing too much affection.
So mom's working 2 jobs, David's there, and he's a little overly affectionate. Okay, what are some other things that could put her to risk? Being left alone with him. Yep. What about Jade personally? What about some things with her in her life? Okay. Pat, did you have something you wanted to say? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we don't know much about Dad. Typically, dads leave and girls don't hear from them again. What about the fact she was a shy girl? She was very shy, and then they moved 50 miles away from her support system. So there's several different factors. One thing that really gets to me is I'm like, why is mom working 2 jobs, and what is David doing with his time? Okay, so we're going to move on to the rest of Jade's story and then just kind of watch for some recruiting and grooming tactics here. So those may be like promises of improving the home situation. It might be just what is more stable, what's more comfortable, and then fulfilling those unmet needs, because we all have needs that would need to be met, and oftentimes with trafficking survivors, they're just trying to get those basic level of needs met. So Trisha, if you could go and read number 2 for us. Oh, do you need mine? Okay.
After getting settled in their new place, Jade and her sister were ready for school to begin. Jade would start her freshman year at the high school. Her sister would be in 6th grade at the middle school just down the street. Jade was looking forward to the classes she would be taking, but a bit nervous about making friends and fitting in. At the end of her first day, as she was closing her locker to head home, a friendly-looking upperclassman girl came up and introduced herself as Cassidy. She offered to show Jade around to look out for her. Cassidy was popular, funny, and kind. She seemed to really like Jade. Soon they started hanging out almost every day after school. They would go shopping, see movies, go out to eat, and hang out at Cassidy's house. Cassidy introduced Jade to her group of friends. They were all pretty cool. One person stood out in particular, Ryan. He was tall, handsome, athletic, and had a smile that would make you melt. Jade was certain she would be too young and too nerdy to be liked by someone like him, but she looked forward to seeing him at football games and parties that she and Cassidy attended together, which were becoming more and more frequent. Jade was honestly looking for someone to leave the house. Jade was honestly looking for reasons to leave the house more and more lately. Since moving in with David, he had become more aggressive with his affection and had crossed boundaries. When Jade tried to say no, he said he would get to her sister if she didn't comply. Jade's mom was working 2 jobs. She was rarely home, so it was better for Jade to stay home, away from home. Cassidy was always willing to come pick her up and take her mind off of everything. One Friday night after a football game, Jade joined Cassidy at a party. Jade spotted Ryan right away. It seemed he noticed her, too. He came over and they started talking. Ryan was charming and made Jade laugh. By the end of the evening, Ryan asked Jade if she would like to be his girlfriend. She thought she'd hit the jackpot. Pretty soon, it was Ryan giving her rides home, buying her gifts, and leaving her each night before she went to sleep. Jade was in love.
Okay. So there are several different red flags within this regarding Cassidy and regarding Ryan. So what are some of the things you see that are like, oh, That's a little alarming. Yes. Ryan. Oh, David. David. Yeah. 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 And there's a considerable age gap between Cassidy and Jade as well. And it's not common for upperclassmen to befriend lowerclassmen, especially if they haven't like grown up with them. I know like we grew up in a community and went to church with people and we've known them their whole life. So it wasn't uncommon for my son to hang out with a senior because he'd known them since he was 9. But just coming into a school, it's not often that you will see a senior befriend a freshman. What are some other things?
I'm concerned about Jade's little sister now.
Yeah, definitely.
Stay at home and David's there. And mom's still working 2 jobs while her kids are.
Yes, yeah. Mel, did you have something? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So what were some things that Cassidy did to befriend her? Yeah. Buy her clothes and things like that. And then Ryan steps in, and then what does Ryan start doing? Yep. Yep, yep. Anything else anybody wants to add? Okay. Number 3, Julie. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on real quick. So here we're going to look for signs of exploitation and just what pops out to you regarding that. So where is there abuse? Where is there force? Where is there coercion? And what does that look like? Okay, Julie.
I'm shaking, not because I'm nervous, because I pre-read this. And she first said, "Is this going to trigger you?" And I'm like, "I don't think so." And I'm like, "I think it did." Anyway.
Do you not want to read it?
No, I am totally okay with it.
Okay.
After a few weeks of dating, Ryan asked Jade if she wanted to hop in his car and hang out at his house after school. Without thinking twice, Jade happily agreed. Finally, some real alone time with her new boyfriend. Once they got to the house, she realized that they weren't alone at all. Some of Ryan's friends were also there. A few she had met before, and some new faces too. Ryan escorted her to his bedroom, where things quickly escalated. He forced her on the bed. At a corner of her eye, Jay saw a guy in the doorway taking pictures with his phone. After the rape was over, Jade began crying. She was so confused. She thought she could trust Ryan. To Jade's surprise, Cassidy walked in the room and sat down next to her. Cassidy told Jade not to worry. If Jade did everything Ryan asked, everything would be okay. But if Jade decided to snitch or rebel against him, he would show the pictures they took to everyone at school and even to her mother. Jade couldn't fathom that kind of embarrassment and humiliation, so she kept quiet and soon adjusted to a new normal. From that night on, Jade was expected to be at Ryan's beck and call. She was expected to help him make money and do whatever he asked. Sometimes that meant staying out all night servicing clients. Other times she was forced to skip school to meet up with him, to run various errands, or to go shopping. It was so confusing. Most of the time, Ryan was completely charming and fun to be around. Ryan knew exactly what to say to make Jade feel special and loved. Some nights they would hang out and laugh and have dinner together with Cassidy and all of her friends as if everything was normal. However, things always changed once it was time to make Ryan more money. Jade missed how things used to be, the time spent with her mom and sister before all this happened, running track and laughing with her old friends. But like it or not, this was her new normal. Jade felt she had no other choice but to continue with how things are now.
Okay. A little tough to hear. A little tough. Thank you, Julie. And so what happened with Jade that forced her into a life of trafficking? Threat. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Ultimatums. Yep. Manipulation. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so many of the youth that we serve, like this is what happens. And it may not be somebody from high school. It could be a family member. And if it's a family member, oftentimes the girls feel like that is their fault because they're like, I must have done something wrong, because why would somebody I love do this to me unless I did something wrong? So they feel like they're to blame in that situation. So it's just very important that as parents, as aunts, as grandparents, as whomever, that you talk to the youth that are in your life and let them know, regardless of what happens, if somebody has pictures of them, videos of them, what have you, don't let that force them into a life that they don't want. And that regardless of what has happened, you are not going to love them any less, and that you will be there for them to fight that battle with them. And sometimes the trafficker will threaten to kill or harm the family members or somebody close to them. And so they don't want to report it that way. Let them know, you're like, bring it on. Let them try. So, and then obviously you would want to get the police involved at that point. But nobody should have to endure this because of shame or because of fear, because she was raped and she is not at fault for that, and she needs to know that. Okay, number 4 is Melanie. And this is just kind of watching for some signs. What were some signs her mom could have seen to know to get her help sooner?
Okay, take a deep breath. Jade's mom began to voice her concerns over the changes she had seen in her daughter. Typical, right? Jade was rarely home. When she was, she barely ate or spoke to anyone. She was much thinner than she'd ever been. She was wearing clothes that her mom didn't recognize. The school had called several times inquiring about Jade's absences, but her mom was too busy working to do too much about it. When she did try to express her concern to Jade just about the changes she was seeing, Jade erupted in anger and left the house yelling how much she hated it at home. This was so out of character for Jade. It caused her mother to worry even more. She looked at Jade's social media profiles and was surprised at what she saw. Her loving, sweet, reserved daughter seemed to change before her eyes. One night, Jade's mom decided to have another conversation with her daughter about the alarming changes she had been seeing in Jade. The conversation quickly turned into a heated argument. Jade stormed out of the house. This time, she didn't return home until the next day. Jade decided it was time to move in with Ryan. Despite the frequent abuse from Ryan, Jade felt that she could not return home. Ryan always made up for the last beating and reeled Jade back in. He kept her holding on to the hope that it was the last time he would treat her like that. Jade managed to make it to school on occasion, although a concerned teacher started to notice Jade's unhealthy appearance and pulled her aside after class one day. Jade quickly dismissed the teacher's concerns. After months of constant abuse and exploitation, Jade had become apathetic and numb. Her dismissive comments only served to validate the teacher's concerns. The teacher then reached out to Child Protection Agency. From there, a social worker was assigned to Jade's case. The social worker visited Jade's mother's home for a home study. And through questioning and observation, the abuse from her mother's boyfriend, David, was discovered. It was decided Jade should move to a group home for healing and safety. And once at the group home, Jade entered into therapy, where the abuse of David was processed and the trafficking from Ryan was revealed. After a couple of weeks in the facility, Jade was introduced to allies.
So what are some red flags that the teacher saw and that her mom started noticing that could have hopefully been avoided earlier had she known to look for these things? Behavior. And granted, teenagers, they're going to have some wonky behavior, but just kind of notice, like, is it the behavior what physical changes are taking place with that behavior. Mm-hmm. 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 And she was a straight A student. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Track and field and straight A student and had a group of friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting defensive over her behavior. Yeah, she wasn't coming home. Yep. Anything else?
I found it interesting that the teacher took some steps.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look like the mom took the steps to get counseling.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything about this yet because I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but mom is probably just doing her best. Mom is working 2 jobs and she's probably doing all she can to keep her head above water. And so, not saying that mom shouldn't have noticed earlier, but mom needs help too. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it mentions abuse from Ryan. So were there burns? Were there bruises? Were there pinch marks, bite marks, scratches? You know, what types of marks were on her body from his abuse? So this is where Allies can step in. Allies receives referrals from DCS. Occasionally, the judicial system, not so much now. We've discovered that if they're forced to come into their program, to our program, they're not as willing to be a part of our program. So that hasn't worked out well in the past. But occasionally, we'll still get 1 or 2 that are sent to us through their residential facilities, and so people come, the youth come to us after it has been determined that they have been trafficked and that they are in counseling and that they're getting the help that they need, because we at Allies, we are not counselors, we are not therapists, we are loving members of the community who want to pour into somebody who has not seen what unconditional love looks like. So that being said, we have to have allies with us. We have to be allies with those who can professionally serve them as well. So what we do is we have a mentorship process. The mentorship program is an 18-month program, at least 18 months. So for that 18 months, you agree to meet twice a month with your mentee, and then 2 other times a month, you call them, text them, send them a letter, some form of communication. So they're being contacted once a week. They've never had anybody in their life who has been a consistent form of adulthood. They have never seen what commitment looks like. So it's important that our mentors are fully committed to serving these young ladies. So for 18 months, they just hang out twice a month. We encourage the mentors not to spend any money. Let me repeat that. We encourage you as a mentor not to spend any money. Does anybody have any idea why? Like, one of the main reasons. Many of their relationships have been transactional, and we don't want it to be that way. We want it to be unconditional. But then there are other reasons, and if you enter our mentor training, then we will share those other reasons with you. So what we do is we match them for 18 months. Within that 18 months, the only goal is that she receives a trusted friend. There is somebody in her life that she can turn to, that she can trust. So many times we will see a mentee, and I'm going to refer to when we had a 12-month agreement with our mentors. Within 12 months, there would be a mentee who would be in a residential facility, a group home, a foster home, on the streets, back into the foster home. She would have therapists, and they would vary depending on who her caseworker was, depending on what group home she was in, what facility she was in. So she could have 3 or 4 therapists in 1 year. That is not helpful for her. But through it all, the mentor is the constant in their life. I went to lunch with a young lady, and I see this young lady once a month, and she's been in our program for 6 years. And she didn't like me at first, and that's fine. A lot of times the girls aren't going to like us, and that's okay. I'm not here for them to like me in the beginning. I'm there to gain her trust. And so she hardly ever talked to me. She didn't want anything to do with me. And then we went to lunch about a year ago, and I said, did you think I would still be in your life after all these years? And she's like, hell no. And then, but she's like, you are like the only mom I've ever had. And so just being there for her and she's never been to my home. I don't spend a lot of money on her. I may take her to lunch if it's her birthday or if it's a special occasion, but I don't spend money on her. We just hang out and we just have a good time together. So that's what it's about. It's just about being that constant in their life. Next, we have the program Thrive. Jade's mom could definitely benefit from Thrive. With our Thrive program, a lot of parents, they have a lot of expectations through the court. They have a lot of expectations through DCS as far as what they have to complete. But through that, it's not a very kind process to these parents. And again, Jade's mom, could she have been a little more alert? Yeah. But again, she was hanging on by a thread and doing the best that she could. Does she deserve to be thrown to the wolves? No, she needs love and support and community. So that's where Thrive comes in for the parents. And through Thrive, what we do is a 10-week curriculum, and we teach the parents, first of all, about self-care. Are they taking care of themselves? If they are not caring for themselves, how the heck are they going to care for their family? And oftentimes they don't even know how to care for themselves because they come from similar environments. So then we're going to teach them about setting boundaries. And with setting boundaries, oftentimes a parent will set a boundary, have no idea why they set the boundary. Like it doesn't relate to their values or anything whatsoever. So we teach them first about what are your values and set those boundaries based on your values. And then that way it's more believable when you send it to your child, tell it to your child. And an example of this is like, if a parent tells a child to be home at 11 o'clock, but the parent doesn't understand why they need this child home at 11 o'clock, and then the child can see that within the parent, and then it's kind of like a puppy. Like a puppy can smell when, when you're fearful or when you're not helpful or what have you. So the child can feel when the parent doesn't believe in their own rules, and then they're going to push those boundaries, and then the parent isn't going to stand a chance in setting any boundaries. So we teach them how to set those boundaries based on their values and how to hold those boundaries. We'll also teach what a trauma-informed environment looks like, because it's going to look very, very different. So if a child has been abused by a boyfriend and then the parent slaps the child, that's going to trigger, and then it's just going to be this perpetual fight within the home. And so we teach how to overcome those things. So there's a whole variety of things, but in doing that, again, we hope to break those generational curses and just love on the parents as well, because if we're loving on the parents, we're loving on the child, then they're going to have a more healthy environment in which they can live. Are there any questions regarding anything that I've shared so far? No. Okay. So I'm going to share next how to get involved with Allies. And there are several different ways that you can get involved with us. 2 greatest: volunteers and donations. Obviously, funding is huge. We are a nonprofit. We over 60% of our donations come from individuals. The rest come from churches, and very, very little comes from grants. But definitely could use donations. Within the donations also, we have an opportunity for you to be a Secret Santa this year. Many of our girls, they don't have parents, they don't have family. Without Allies, they would not have a Christmas to celebrate. So what we do is we ask people to be a Secret Santa, and with that, we ask each of the girls, what is something you want? What is something you need? something to wear, something to read, and then we ask our Secret Santas to spend $150 on them. And then some of them have kiddos, so then their kiddos need gifts as well. And some of the, last year a girl asked for a mop. And like this year, sheets. You're more familiar. What are some of the, like, not really a Christmas gift item? So not like they aren't looking for anything extravagant. They're just looking for needs to be met. And so that's why we ask, like, what are some fun things that you could do as well, that you could ask for as well? And a lot of times when we're sitting down with the girls asking them these questions, they're like, I don't know. I don't want anything. One girl last year, the only thing she asked for were beanies because she didn't want her head to be cold in the winter. So we try to help them and what kind of music do you like? Do you want some CDs? Do you want this or that or whatever? So we try to help them with that. Also, we've got a need for volunteers, obviously. Our care community is an amazing community. We are a faith-based organization. We are not faith-forced, which means we do not make our girls choose to follow Christ. Oftentimes they've been hurt by Christians. And so with that, it's triggering for them, for if we talk to them about our relationship with Christ. So we don't even try to do that until we've been with them long enough to know where they stand and we can have a good conversation about that. But we do have a lovely group of women who pray over our mentees, they pray over our mentors, they pray over our staff, they pray over our board. So we've got several opportunities there. Speaking of our board, we do need board members, and we would love more women board members. So then we have our Catalyst community. Our Catalyst community is who do you know that you can connect us with in the community? Do you have a church group that we can come and talk to? Do you have, like, your business? Can we come and do a lunch and learn? Who do you know within the community that we can connect with and share about our mission? Then we have our mentorship community. This is a lovely group of women who donate their time month after month after month. And then once you get into it, again, we just ask for an 18-month commitment, but once you get into it, more often than not, the mentors continue for cycles. We have a young lady who's been in our program. I'm actually meeting with her mentor right after this. They've been together for 8 years, and they've been through trials together in which they were prosecuting her trafficker. Her mentor went to court with her so that she could face him and didn't have to be alone in that. So it's just very important that you just make an impact on their lives in the way that you can. And then we have our events committees. We have several events that take place through the year. Well, 3 big ones. We have our Illuminate, which is our big spring fundraiser. It used to be a gala that we did every year. This year, this past year, we decided to do it a little bit differently, and we went to a winery and we had a band, and it was so much fun, and it was so much more allies. We're very casual, very laid back. Like the girls we serve, we want to dress like them. We want to make them feel comfortable. So in making them feel comfortable, it kind of comes in what we wear and things around the office. So, but we have our events community. So if you wanted to help plan that, which is Illuminate, it's going to be at Daniel's Vineyard again this year. And then we have our Kick for One kickball tournament. We just had that in October. And that is where you help us kick human trafficking out of Indiana. And you can either put a team together or you can be a part of that planning committee. We have bunco events. So if you play bunco, you could gather your friends and we could do an event. We just did one at Cadillac Jacks for Guardian Bells, which is a women's biker group. And we had so much fun, and they love the Lord, they love helping people, and their whole vision is to help people. So if you want to be a part of one of our committees, then definitely get involved with that. Am I forgetting anything, Beth? Prime 47. I had flyers for Prime 47, and switched bags, and guess where the flyers are? And so Prime 47 is in Carmel. It's on November 14th, and they are bringing a winery in and a culinary experience. And the cost for that is $150. Some details for that are on the Inspire events page, but there's going to be an auction with that. There are some incredible prizes like a suite at a Colts game, an overnight at the JW Marriott. There's a Connor Prairie package. I can't remember. Oh, a meal for 8 at Prime 47. There are a lot of really cool prizes for auction items for this. They're going to throw a live auction and then do the meal and a wine tasting and all kinds of things. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to send Melanie the details and she will get that out to you all, or you can reach out to me. I brought cards as well. So lots of ways that you can get involved with the Allies, and I just ask that you prayerfully consider in what way you want to get involved. If it's just praying for us on your own, that is totally fine. But please just consider getting involved with us in some way, shape, or form. And then if you are interested in mentorship, you can talk to Beth since she's here today, or you can talk to me. Either way, I'm more involved with the mentees, whereas Beth is more involved with the mentors than what I am. So any questions? Yes. The donut counties so Marion County and then all the counties that touch them. And we actually go to Henry County and Delaware County, which are not donut counties, but. Mm-hmm. We go as far south as Johnson County. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. For boys, yes. Yeah. And it's something we talk about often, and we just don't have the resources to serve young men. However, it was pointed out to me, like, these young men who have been harmed typically are by men, and they don't trust men, so they want to be connected with women mentors, but some female mentors aren't comfortable. So it's just something we're working through and praying through. But also we have a program called Amplify, and it's where we take our mentorship program and we've like packaged it and we share it with others who are equipped to mentor youth. And so we talked about, let's reach out to a male mentorship program and talk to them about Amplify. So we do know that it is a need. And I don't know when or if we will ever serve young men, but it's definitely on our radar. Yeah. Any other questions? No. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to connecting with you.
So